So, once again, wintertime, I'm on the road, and this is what I got to see in the car. But I am prepared this time. I have a new all-wheel drive vehicle, and I checked the weather, and I think this thing can handle it. I'm leaving extra early to try to beat the storm, but as usual, I couldn't sleep last night. So, because lately I'm on this like late shift, when you work in the casinos and everything and you're there at night. Now, no matter what I do, I can't seem to go to bed before 4 a.m. So, I've only had a few hours sleep, but I'm feeling good. I've got the coffee, and I wanted to leave early. And we're going to get there just as the storm is starting to hit where I'm going. All right, so it's late December 2020. Wow, what a year, huh? It's been, we'll be happy to say good riddance to this year. Except it's been bittersweet, to be cliche. It's been the best of times, it's been the worst of times. So this was obviously a terrible, terrible year, but it was actually a good year for me in terms of my career as an advantage player. So those of you that watched My Real Blackjack Life, the original one, the original series, this is part 2, you know that I ended up at the beginning of 2020, or the end of 2019, I should say, I was down quite a bit. So 2019 ended, my bankroll was on life support back then, you might remember. I had I didn't really have enough to play blackjack. I had next to nothing. And if you remember from that series, early on in the series, or somewhere in the middle of the series, I should say, somewhere in the middle of the series, I played that progressive slot machine. And as a result of that play, I ended up getting a bunch of free play money from that casino. So with not enough money to play blackjack properly, I thought, well, maybe I could revive my bankroll with progressive slots and other machine plays and maybe a few other AP moves mixed in. I couldn't have imagined it would have worked out this well. My bankroll now, a year later, is double what it was when I first started playing professionally full time. A little over 20 times what my bankroll was at the beginning of 2020, which is hard to imagine that it's grown that much, especially since I was spending money. So if I wouldn't have spent any money out of the bankroll, like some people can afford to do, I don't know how they manage that unless they have a lot of extra savings that they rely on, or they have a full-time job. I've heard stories of APs that keep all the money in the bankroll. If I would have done that, my bankroll right now would be close to 100,000. Instead, it's about half that. So I think that is enough to make this work this time. This is going to be a blackjack trip. I'm going to do both blackjack and machine play and a couple other table game plays, but mostly blackjack this trip, I think. Just straight up card counting. mix in some slots, video poker, if possible. And we'll see how it goes. I did not have a losing month in the entire 2020. Now, I did have 2 months because of the shutdown where I didn't really do any gambling at all. I did some gambling in the stock market, and off the top of my head right now, I'm pretty sure I broke even in the stock market. I might have made a small profit. It's possible I lost a little bit. I'd have to go back and check my records, but I think I was about even in the stock market for those 2 months during the shutdown. Other than that, I did not have a losing month. I thought December was going to be my first losing month. I started off down about 2,000, but it ended up, well, it's not over yet, but as of right now, it's about 5,000 in the black. So that's a bad month, the way it's been going. That's a bad month for me. So, in fact, it's like the second worst month I've had, which isn't bad. If I even just average 5,000, I can survive. All right. What else do I want to talk about? I wanted to talk about a lot of things on the way out here today. Some of it concerning machine play and just gambling in general. You know, got into a Twitter conversation. Actually, I sort of revised an old topic, I think. I just happened to come across this thread on Twitter and started commenting on it. And it's kind of funny, actually. Those of you who know who Richard Munchkin is, if you don't know, if you're in the blackjack world, if you're serious about blackjack, or if you want to be a card counter or anything, I mean, this is somebody who you should know who this is. Richard Munchkin is in the Blackjack Hall of Fame. He is one of the best advantage players in the world of all kinds of table games. To the best of my knowledge, he focuses on table games. Not so much blackjack anymore, at least that's what I've heard him say. Other table games. And he doesn't really do card counting, as I understand it. On the slim chance that Richard is listening to this, if anything I'm saying is wrong, please put it in the comments and I will correct it immediately. I doubt he listens or he watches this show. But he was good about replying to me on Twitter, and I've emailed him a couple of times, and he's good about that. Now, I'm not trying to blow up his inbox, so, you know, don't everybody start emailing him. Anyway, the topic, and this has been a discussion point amongst me and a partner of mine, in that Munchkin has always maintained that if a play is positive EV, then, and especially if it's positive EV when you start it, okay, so it doesn't matter what kind of play it is, if you start it as positive EV, then every round, if it's a table game, every round, if it's a slot machine, every spin, whatever it might be, is positive EV, and you can leave it at any time. So think about it in terms of like a progressive jackpot, where the jackpot keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually it's going to go off. And you've done the math, and you know that it's positive play right now. In other words, go off at any time. You know, it could go off any time between now and whenever. And you start playing it, And this works for all kinds of progressives, whether it be a progressive in terms of dollars or progressive in terms of free games. So a lot of people play these progressives where you get free games. And, let's say there's 100 free games built up on this particular meter, and you know that it's positive right now. Well, let's say you're playing for 12 hours, and now the progressive is at 200 free games. Well, if you hit it now, you know you're going to make a ton of money, right? But you don't want to keep playing it. You want to go to sleep, you want to eat, whatever. You can't stay there. Or right now, a lot of the casinos I play at, maybe they're closing, and you have to leave, and so that would mean you'd have to leave and come back first thing in the morning and try to get there, before they open, and get in line and play this thing, right? And you don't really want to do that, Well, according to Richard Munchkin, and I now agree, and this was my position anyway. Other people disagreed with me, including my partner, who I wish was here on this trip with me. We could discuss it, but anyway, you could leave it, and it still would have been positive the whole time. Now you're probably leaving it, and you're probably down. You're probably not, you probably have not made money yet. But you don't always make money, and you might not make money anyway. Just because it's positive EV doesn't mean it'll be positive AV or actual value. You might end up losing it. This happened to me before I really got heavy into slots. This was a couple of years ago, at least 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. I found this machine, and I thought it was positive, but to be honest with you, back then I was pretty much guessing. And it was progressive free games, and I was playing and playing and playing. And I think I started it way too early. I'm pretty sure, in fact, I'm sure now that it was negative EV when I started playing it. But it had gotten to be positive EV. But by the time it got to be positive EV, I was down a couple $1,000. And in fact, at one point when I quit, I was down $5,000, and I just didn't want to put any more money into the machine, and it was getting late, and I was almost out of money on me. So I would have had to try to figure out how to get more money, and I figured no matter what, even if I hit this thing, or eventually I'd hit it, but even when I do, I'm not going to make back the $5,000 that I already lost. I would get back some of my losses, but there's no guarantee of that either. It's very possible that I would have had to spend another, say, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on top of the $5,000 I lost, and then hit it and make back $2,000 and actually lose more than $5,000. I mean, it's possible. Anything can happen. That's what you have to realize. So you can always leave a play. And I guess I sort of always felt that way. And then when I posed the question to Richard Munchkin, and I posed it in the, I sort of played devil's advocate with it. I took the opposite position purposely because I wanted him to say I was wrong and, make the case for the other side. If it's positive E, it's positive E, and you can always leave at any time for any reason. That's definitely true in blackjack. Just because the count is, and I used to have a hard time with that too, even in blackjack, like, it's a positive shoe. So let's take an example, and I won't let this happen again, but it has happened, and it will happen to a lot of people when they first start off, because they just aren't used to carrying around enough money. Let's say the count is high. It's a six deck shoe, and the count keeps getting higher and higher and higher, and so of course you keep betting more and more, and you keep losing. And now you still have at least 52 more cards to play before you get to the stop card, and you're low on cash. You only have, you don't have enough money left really to play. You've got enough money for, maybe 3 more max bets. Well, what happens if you have to split and double? What should you do? Should you play anyway? Should you reduce your bets? Well, you could reduce your bets to match your bankroll, or you could just leave. Just because it's a positive count doesn't mean you can't walk away. And I had a hard time with that in the beginning. And I think that's why I have a hard time with it with machine play. Because you're going to hit that progressive eventually. And it's really hard in practice to walk away from something like that. I've been on 10, 11 hour plays. Anybody that plays machines has been there. And you just want it to be over. You just want to leave, you just want to go to sleep. I've had that happen more than once, and at some point you don't even care if you lose money. You just want it to be over. Well, then just leave and live to play another day. Now, on that original River Dragon play, you guys could watch the video from that. I had my entire bankroll in that machine, and it was a must hit by progressive, so it was going to eventually pay me, and I was very close to the end. And so I was calling people trying to get more money in case I needed it and everything. Now, in that case, Richard is correct in theory, but in practice, that would have been the end of my bankroll and the end of me playing, at least for a while. I'd have to go back to work and save up a new bankroll, and that was just not something that I was prepared to do. So in that case, for practical considerations, I had to keep playing. But in theory, he's absolutely correct. Positive EV it's positive EV from the first spin, so it's positive EV the whole time. Now sometimes you'll start a play and it starts off negative, but once it gets to positive, at that point you can leave anytime technically. So by the way, my Twitter handle is @DarkStarVegas. For those of you that want to follow me on Twitter, which I would recommend. I'm more active on Twitter than I have been on YouTube lately. I'm working on changing that, but this pandemic, one of the negative things is my kids are home all the time doing virtual school, so it's never quiet in my house, which is where I make most of these videos, which is why I'm doing this on the road now. And also, by the way, and this is completely unsolicited, of course, because I doubt Richard Munchkin or Bob Dancer knows who the heck I am. I mean, they have replied to me on Twitter and whatnot, but usually it's part of a bigger conversation, so I'm sure, I know who they are, but they have no idea who I am. Anyway, I do want to recommend, they do a recommended on their show, which is Gambling with an Edge, which is hosted by Bob Dancer and Richard Munchkin. Bob Dancer, by the way, is also one of the greatest advantage players in the world. He's written several books, and he is in the Video Poker Hall of Fame. In any case, they have an excellent show. There's probably nothing that has helped me more in terms of my career as an advantage player than their show. I discovered their show 2 or 3 years ago, and that's the single greatest thing that ever happened to me in terms of professional gambling. Doing this YouTube channel helps a lot too, because I've met people through this. You guys have contacted me, become students of mine, but then I've become students of yours. I've learned more from people that I was supposed to be training than the other way around, I think. So that has helped out tremendously. Especially my buddy Jam21. I introduced him to machine play, and he has taken it from there and done some math and created some spreadsheets and calculators that have helped me tremendously and advanced our careers, both of them. One of the things I didn't like about machine play compared to blackjack is I felt like I was guessing all the time at what is my EV, what do I even have an advantage at all, am I just as Annie Duke would say in her new book, resulting, and just just because it worked before, just because the last time I played it I won, and so if I play it in that state again I'll win again. Well, not necessarily, unless I played it a million times. It's not really significant. It doesn't really mean anything because I played it 5 times. So I felt like there was a lot of guessing. Well, Jam21 has changed that for me and come up with ways to actually calculate the EV and the risk and all of that. So I appreciate that, and so I'm going to give him a shout out. But more importantly, I want to give a shout out to Richard Munchkin and Bob Dancer and their excellent show, Gambling with an Edge. It's a podcast. You can find it just about anywhere you find podcasts. Again, they don't know that I'm saying this. So they haven't asked me to say this or anything like that. Unsolicited plug for their show. It's just something that I would recommend to anybody who is serious about any type of advantage gambling. Well, the snow has started. So, at least this year, though I'm still driving through the snow in the wintertime, when I said I'd rather be on an airplane going to the southern states, now, even though I can afford to go on an airplane, I'd prefer not to until this pandemic is over. So, at least I have the right vehicle. Alright, so back in my hotel room. Let's see how we did here. I know I made $85 in slots, so let's try to take that out. Let's see what we got here. 20, 40, 60, 85. So that was from slots. 85. So we'll take that out. And then I started with 3,000 in the, let's call it the small bankroll. I don't know why there's $1 there, but maybe I made $86 in slots. That would make sense. All right, there's one. So I played blackjack. It's getting some heat because the same people from the last time that backed me off years ago were there, and they were actually they had, I don't want to go into too many details on the 1 in a million chance that they watch this, but they let me know that they were on to me. So I decided to leave, and then my plan is tomorrow to just play until they actually do back me off instead of backing myself off like I did tonight. But I figure I'll be able to get more play in tomorrow possibly. Be a different shift. So I left. So anyway, so I started with 3,000. I lost playing blackjack, I know that much, but let's see how much I lost. So there's $415 in chips. And let's see how much cash we have left. This was 3,000, so we'll start with the 4. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. That includes the chips. So that means I lost $885. Okay, so not horrible. I can handle that. Interesting that I won on slots, and I have not had a losing month in this whole year on slots. And here I go back to blackjack, and I start off, well, not really start off with a loss because I've played before, but 885 negative. So no problem. All right. Tomorrow's another day. We'll see how we do. Woo! Now that was fun. So, after a while playing blackjack, just gets to be like any other job. It just gets to be kind of routine. But then I didn't play blackjack for a long time, and I was really getting bored with the other plays I was doing. They're really boring. I mean, machine play is, to me, the most boring thing in the world. I don't understand how people actually enjoy playing slots. Video poker is at least a little more interesting because there is some skill involved there. I mean, there's skill with the slots, obviously, the way I play them, but, once you figure this stuff out, you're just pushing buttons. So, anyway, but that was fun. I was down a little over 800 last night, came in this morning, and I had an $800 round, two hands of 200 and split sevens 3 ways, and it might have been $1,000 because I think it was a double. Yeah, it was $1,000 hand or round.
In 1 mile, turn left.
Quiet. $1,000 round because I had a double down, split sevens 3 ways, and then a double down, and it was $200 bets. So it was. Hopefully I did the math right. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah, $1,000. And 1 round. So that's fun when that kind of stuff happens. And and then as soon as I started betting 2 hands of 100, they're yelling checks play, and guys on the phone looking at watch my play, and I'm talking to them and talking to the other players, and then the one guy, when I'm leaving after I colored up all my chips, he couldn't believe that I made all that without even playing the side bet. How'd you do that without making that +3 bet? Well, I wouldn't have made that much if I was making the +3 bet. Oh, yeah. That was fun. So, actually had fun for a change. Gambling, though. It's been a while. I kind of miss blackjack. All right. So, went from down 800 yesterday, and then today, I think I have to add it up, but I think I made about 2,300 today. So, I think. Let's see. I colored up for 2,300, and I had 500 in chips, I think. So I have to add it up later, but I think I made about. I think for the trip right now on blackjack, I'm up about 1,200, and I'm up about $75 or something like that in slots. Not much going on with slots so far, but I'm heading over to another place now. We're going to check this place out. I think I was here once before a couple of years ago. I think it's a really small place. I think they have like 2 blackjack tables. So I'll check it out, check out the slot situation there too. And oh man, I am having fun now. So just to update you, first of all, turns out I won. I'm up a total of 1,400 on blackjack. So last night I was down about 800. So that means that I won about 2,200 today at right 14 and 8. Do math while I drive. No. 14 and 8 is, yeah, 2,200. So I'm up 2,200. I made 2,200 at that one casino, which put me up 1,400 on the trip. And then now, as the late great Bob Ross would say, there are no mistakes, only happy accidents. And the happy accident was I played free bet, blackjack free bet. Now it's a variant of blackjack where you can double down or split for free. Now you can only double down 9, 10, or 11, and I think the splits have to be aces or eights, I think. Or maybe you can split anything. I guess you can split anything for free, and you can double down 9, 10, or 11 for free, which means if they give you this free chip, and so it's a free double down. So in other words, if you lose, you just lose your original bet. But if you win double your bet. Okay, sounds great, right? What's the catch? The catch is catch 22. If the dealer gets a 22, then it's a push, no matter what you have. Except for blackjack. You still get paid your 3 to 2 on blackjack. I remember looking at this game once before, and because of that dealer push on 22 rule, it's not a good game. It's not nearly as good as regular blackjack. But I didn't figure that out. I didn't know about that. I wasn't paying attention to what I was playing. Shame on me. Until after I was already into it, and we had a positive count. So I figured, what the heck, I'll just go with it and see how it goes. And I decided to just go ahead and finish the shoe, and got a really high positive count. And that 22 rule messed me up a couple times, but but it's a push. But then also I made money on the free double down several times too. So it ended up being about a wash, and I made $600. So I'll take that, which puts me up an even 2,000 for the trip in blackjack. There wasn't much there in the way of other plays. I did, play a little bit, just mostly for cover. There was some positive plays on the machines, but nothing spectacular. I think I actually lost $5, so whatever. Anyway, yeah, so that was fun. I got one more stop before I head home, and this will be it for me for 2020, and this will end as one of my best years ever. Phenomenally better than 2019, anyway, in terms of me financially. I'm not saying it was a great year. I know there was a lot of pain out there for people. But for me financially, it was a good year. Not so good in other ways. So, all right. I'll wrap it up after this next. I got, I think, 1 or 2 more stops, and then do a wrap up when I get home, I guess. All right. Well, excuse the mess. Sorry. I was working on some project here, obviously. Anyway, that ended up being a great trip. 2 more casinos I stopped at on the way home, both profitable. So, other than the first day starting out losing $800, after that it was all winning sessions. Total about $3,000 from blackjack and $100 from slots. The primary focus, of course, was blackjack. After all, about $200 I profited from dealer errors. Always a good thing. I don't correct them, and surprisingly this time there weren't any
Poindexters on the table to, hey, why are you paying them on that push? You know, the casino can afford it. There's been a debate about that. I know from experience from being a dealer, the dealer's is more likely to get in trouble if I point it out than if I just let it go. Because probably if I just let it go, more than likely nobody will notice it. So, they were all kind of hit and run, quick sessions. I didn't play long enough for them to really evaluate my play. That was my plan. And I think that worked out pretty good. Conditions I found were pretty good. The worst penetration that I had was about a deck and a quarter at the last place that I stopped at. So I was getting tired anyway. Didn't play there very long. Still made about $500. So that was good. Been an incredible year. That is it now. Today is New Year's Eve. I'm not planning on working today. I don't think. Never know. Definitely not blackjack. Just going to have a quiet evening with the family. It's not going to be any big deal. We're not doing any partying. We're going to be safe. I always wear a mask in the casino. I try to stay as safe as possible. You guys stay safe out there. Happy New Year. Stay safe. And it's got to be happier than this last one, right? Pretty low bar. I'm sure 2021 will be better for you than 2020 was. May the count be with you.